Good day, Nigerians. Today is the 8th of April 2024. And what better to do than to be here at this table to discuss all the news that are making waves on all our national dailies. My name is Adewale Olashopo. Yesterday was World Health Day. Tomorrow is a declared holiday for Eid al-Fitr, tomorrow and Wednesday. This week is filled with a lot of activities, and at this table, the discussion is going to focus on that. I'm not going to be doing this alone. I'm joined today by
Chinatu Oji
and
Godwin Sunday.
Godwin Sunday. Good
One and
morning.
only.
Welcome to the
dispute that,
program.
Godwin.
Exactly. We
can't
missed you on
dispute that.
Friday, Chinatu.
Did you?
Yeah,
we
we
missed you.
did.
Oh,
It was,
I missed
it was
it.
all men. It was all men.
men.
All men's
I mean, I was
affairs.
just there and hearing how you people did so well and
Yeah.
how you people enjoyed without me. But you know, maybe it's a man's world. It was a man's world on Friday.
Well, we're done with the Women's Month. Now is the Men's Month.
Obviously, now it's April.
Exactly. Yesterday was
It's
World Health Day, and it's an important world
Conversation.
event that we must continue to have, because the health sector in Nigeria, particularly, is what we need to have the focus on. Lot of issues. We're talking about malaria. We're talking about polio. We're talking about vaccination. We're talking about building primary healthcare facilities in rural areas in Nigeria. And I think the conversation is unending. And I think there's a lot of things that has to be done.
Actually, you know, the theme for the World Health Day yesterday was My Health, My Right. And it's just a reminder to everyone that women, boys, girls, in fact, every human being, especially in Nigeria, should have access to quality health care. It is basic right. It is fundamental human right for Nigerians to have access to that right. And I hope that the government and everyone involved in the health sector do something to ensure that people are adequately catered for when it comes to matters around their health.
But
Godwin, people will
it's
ask
funny.
you
It's funny
if
how
it's-
you talk, how you listed those things on health, and you didn't mention hunger. To start with. I think hunger should be more on that
Yeah,
list.
because
now.
we have
Yeah.
malnutrition.
Because people that don't
Malnutrition,
eat,
exactly.
you're speaking English, you're calling malnutrition, you're talking about pure hunger. There's even between hunger and lacking nutritional values in
Yeah.
food. People need survival food to be able to stay alive, stay and survive. Stay within the circumference of living. Before we can now start talking about other malnutrition, the component of the food is complete. Wale, that list again should be reshuffled.
Exactly.
So we need, like,
I
basic-
think when the conversation is about my health, my right, and people can actually ask, why is my right being prized in most countries in the world? And I think a conversation is still there that some places like the United States, the healthcare sector is it's a business on its own. And when we come to Nigeria, we've seen a lot of pharmaceutical companies leaving the country. We've seen a lot of local pharmaceutical producers,
Even medical
springing up,
practitioners
medical
leaving the
practitioners
country,
are
yeah.
leaving the
Practitioners
country.
especially.
And there was a time the federal government through the National Assembly said they wanted to impose 2 year after your medical practice in Nigeria, you must serve the country.
Housemanship and
What about the
medical-
NYSC? You're already been subjected to a year compulsory service. So I think the conversation around health is very wide, very bogus, and we need to put that in practice. But tomorrow and next tomorrow is Eid al-Fitr.
And that's the most
we can-
important.
That's the most important.
But you know-
Chinatu is the special advisor on food matters. So I think she will speak up. She will speak my mind at this point.
Well, we're waiting
Chinatu,
for
go ahead.
invitation.
Wale, this is
Wale,
it's
relax.
on
From the
Wale.
presidency.
Wale,
On Wale's
relax. No, Wale,
set.
relax.
Wale, what are we eating
What are we
tomorrow?
eating tomorrow?
Please, can we move on to the first topic?
Okay, let's quickly move on to the Punch, where we have the meter premium customers in 60 days. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has urged the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to mandate distribution companies to meter all unmetered Band A customers within 60 days. In a statement yesterday by its acting executive vice chairman and chief executive officer, Dr. Adamu Abdullahi, said the move would ensure accurate billing and protecting consumers from arbitrary estimations. Abdullahi also urged the NERC to enforce a cap on estimated bills and ensure compliance with the required daily supply for respective tariff bands A to E, saying it will promote fairness in billing practices. So Godwin and Wale, I saw this tweet yesterday where somebody asked, so if you've not had lights for over 2 weeks and then they now restore ban, it lasts for just 2 seconds, where will you categorize that kind of ban? How will you categorize it? And somebody said banned, why? And I'm wondering, and I'm just wondering where we are in this country, where we now have bans. I understand that if you have light or power for up to 20 hours and above, then you're in band
Band
A.
A.
But I'm even wondering how many people even enjoy that kind of power supply in Nigeria.
We do.
Oh,
I
that's
think Gordon
kudos
has
to
been
you.
enjoying all the palliatives from the government.
Yeah, I don't want to say
No,
anything.
we enjoy light on our own side.
Yeah, but
where
For up to 20
yeah, we
hours.
do 20 hours.
That's a rare case. Honestly, that's a rare
Yeah.
case. But then that's not the conversation now. The conversation now is that the government wants to ensure that, or the electricity distribution company wants to ensure that every house is being metered. And there's an ultimatum of 60 days for this to be carried out. First, I'm wondering, is it possible to, meter all the houses, especially those who are on the band A, within 60 days? Isn't this information coming abruptly? I mean, the information is short. How possible is it to achieve that, one? And then two, is there any way where everybody can, have access to light? And then this hike, 240% hike in the tariff is reduced, because honestly, power is very necessary to run businesses. But then when we have this hike, which took effect from Friday, how do you want businesses to survive? It is beautiful that we want to start metering, right? But then, isn't it the same thing that you would still be paying that? Because what the meter just does is that it regulates the kind of power you have. Analysis is okay, and you not start paying estimated bills. You just know that whatever power you have is what you have. But the payment is still the same. The hike is still going to affect whether you have the meter or not. And I'm just wondering, can't we have, yes, let us have the meters, but then this hike, can it be reduced?
Chinatu, you've spoken intelligently about this issue. I think myself and Wale on Friday, I think we were trying to even look when the news broke at first. Trying to look at this issue, and we were asking ourselves salient question about the timing for this. We're still trying to recover from the shock of subsidy removal. The economy is still trying to bounce back to for the average Nigerian to be able to live up to certain economic expectations. And also, we're trying to also look at the agricultural, the evolution and the heat wave going on right now, the various electromagnetic spectrum and ozone layers deplections right now that we're trying to also look at how it's affecting Nigerians. I'm just trying to recover from that. National Electricity Regulation came with their own bill that they are increasing. As at that day, I think they said 200, 300%.
It's 240%.
It was okay. So we were looking at it like this is the timing for us. Whatever thing we want to do, I think Nigerians should be put into consideration and should look at the timing.
Does the timing
general.
affect the price?
No, if you look at if the economy is balanced, and we say okay, the federal government can no longer subsidize petroleum. Subsidize electricity the way it is right now. We want to move to something else. Probably want to go to. We want to where the citizens pay for the services. Nothing is subsidized in Nigeria. And again, pay for your services, and let's go. But the economy is balanced. People won't feel the impact. If the economy, if the price of dollar and naira are not competing against themselves and things are balanced, everything is going the way they ought to go. The health cares are fantastic. Everything is going the way it ought to go. People won't even lament. Right now, people are not complaining on the fact that they're increasing the price of the tariff. What people are complaining right now is about basically the timing. The timing right now, I think it's too prompt. It's too sudden. We can make it probably put a target. Give us next year. Say okay, next year by this time we will be increasing the electricity tariff and moving into certain amount. By then we know we are certain that the CBN policy of revitalization must have come to play. Then banks will be able to at least give out loans to small businesses, SMEs. And also we can now say, okay, the economy has bounced back in terms of Dangote refineries producing, Warri refinery producing. We are bouncing back. But right now, I don't know what to say. But the spokesperson to the government usually always have things to say.
Exactly. For a common man on the streets, I think this is coming quite insensitive for them, because they're still living with the consequences of the petroleum subsidy that has been removed, and now we've now seen that electricity has been hiked. I think for them, the government would the assessment would be that the government is pushing out the prices of things back to the consumer, back to people in their households. And I think that is a legitimate concern for them to have. But also, let's looking at what this Consumer Protection Agency has said, that people in the Band A category has to be metered. You can't just decide all by yourself that I'm receiving 20-hour electricity just because, let's say, for instance, the area we are now is receiving 20-hour electricity, but the street that we are does not have a pole or something happens. Generally, it's assumed that everybody in that area is receiving 20-hour electricity. But when each houses are metered, they can then be able to decide who is getting 20-hour electricity per day. And also, it also allows the government or the distribution agency themselves to make sure that they get adequate revenue that they're supposed to get, because there could be irregularities in their assessment. Perhaps they could assess somebody's getting or someone is not getting, or some people are even using more than they're supposed to use. But when there's an adequate assessment and they're all metered, they'll be able to get that. And for those in category B to D, how do we want to move them? Because there's a conversation about moving them up to category A. So they must know that this is the amount of electricity we are getting in a day that would decide whether or not we should go up the ladder or not. But I think the conversation is still there. 60 days has been given, and I think they have to live up to that.
60 days is quite sudden, Wally, if you ask me. But then you have to just move on. Our advice to the government is
I
just
think,
put
of course,
people's friendly
Can the
policies.
hype just calm down? You thought about the fact that this notice is very short. I just want it to calm down. I mean, from 66 to 268, that's a lot.
it is.
I think the average Nigerian will share your optimism that the price should just come down. But then the government cannot continue to subsidize for all of those products at this time. We try to understand with the government. But let's not dwell too long on this matter, Chinatu. We have to move on to other issues that we're going to the nations right away, where the lottery agency has allowed the Economic and Financial Crime Commission for raising remittance inflows to 2.1 billion. It hails the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission widening its revenue base. In a statement by the EFCC spokesperson Dele Oyewale in Abuja, said Maigari gave the commendation when he visited the commission chairman, Mr. Ola Olukayode, in Abuja. The statement quoted Maigari as saying that the EFCC has helped widen the revenue base of the fund through the enhanced remittance inflow from 800 million to 2.1 billion annually. Maigari said the intervention had assisted the National Lottery Commission also to grow its revenue profile and number of lottery operators. All right, so Wale and Chinatu, the National Lottery Commission have come out to say that the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, the EFCC, has been doing a very laudable job for them in terms of generating funds for them and also ensuring that they get whoever is coming out with any lottery policy, they get value for whatever they are doing. I think this is also commendable for sister agencies to work together. But then the questions that I want to ask right now is that if we're saying the EFCC should be commended for doing their job, I now ask, at this point in time, the National Lottery Commission and the EFCC, what relationship exists between the two parties at this point in time? Two, the second question that is begging for answer is the EFCC interfacing as a way of recovery for funds that have been stolen, or financial economic crises that have been breached, or financial inadequacies or records that have not been kept clean, in order to recover the fund for the companies that are involved, or recovering that fund for the lottery agency? These are questions that we are asking. Because when you say, Maigari, you're loading the EFCC for helping you to raise the sum of 2.1 billion. It's quite a number of money. How did we get to that deficit? How did the EFCC get involved in all of this? I must commend agencies for working together, governmental agencies, but then the overlapping functions of these agencies really calls for concern. If the Economic and Financial Crime right now role to the National Lottery Commission looks like that of the Nigerian police, except we are saying at this point in time that the function of the EFCC has been primarily linked to that of the police. I beg to say that agencies should be able to define their responsibility so that we can have more efficient and robust functions within agencies, even though the action of the EFCC at this point is commendable at this point. But then Let's know when, because it will be like that of what we have in Okwama community, where we find the Nigerian army going for peace, for settling or mediating in a thought fissile, in a civil relations. So I should think at this point in time that we need to explain these responsibilities and roles in full details so that we can have more balanced organizational framework. That's what, for me, that's what I think.
Exactly, and you asked the question of what exactly is the relationship between them, and it's a good question to ask, and I think Nigerians must wonder as well. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, of course, is the agency monitoring the inflow and outflow of money in Nigeria, both for the people in the federal government and different businesses as well. We saw how they dealt with Bob Risky in the last week, and for the lottery agencies, the remittance was pegged at 800 million naira prior to this time. Now they've raised the what's it called, the remittance inflows to their organization or to their businesses to 2.1 billion naira. So what that says is that they're going to allow them to get more money to because it's pegged before. You couldn't get more than that in a stretch for a year. So if they have more for 2.1 billion now people can then do their lottery, also invest in, because we have a lot of investors investing in different lottery companies in Nigeria. Now they can have more investors, they can have more people do their lottery, play their games or whatever they want to do there. And I think this is one of the ways the federal government is just, I can see them working and touching different industry to augment and make sure the economy as well is revived with the shockwave of the we talked about the electricity tariff hike. We talked about the subsidy removal for petroleum. So with that shockwave that's hitting our economy, the naira as well. So with that, they are looking for ways to make sure that it gets better with time.
So we can't do a long on this issue because
Yeah.
because the way
Well,
Chinatu
yeah, I was
is looking.
I was going to say that the Lottery Commission and the EFCC just have a good synergy. You know, you were asking what's the relationship. These people are dealing with funds, and I think that if you're dealing with funds, you must have a relationship with the EFCC.
Yes.
Because you want to be sure what is coming in, what is going
This
out.
is a government agency.
Yeah.
If you're
Yes.
commending EFCC for governmental agency when there's no fraud going on in the system, so one begin to ask. That's why I'm asking this salient question because we need to know those roles defined. So the personalities will not begin to wallow in squallows. So that's what we're trying to look at this in general. But let's not, because time is fast spent, Chinatu, let's not dwell too much on this. Let's move on to something.
Moving on to the next newspaper, this is coming from a leadership newspaper. Officers of the Nigerian police force have excelled and emerged as the best at the just concluded U.S. Special Program for Embassy Augmentation Response Team mission at Amman, Jordan. The training, which commenced on March 10, 2024 and concluded on April 3rd, 2024, was designed to enhance team skills in responding to various emergencies and tactical situations. The program was conducted by the U.S. Navy SEALs and covered a wide range of topics, including several tactical drills and assessments, ensuring a well-rounded and thorough learning experience. I think Nigeria has excelled again.
Again.
And
I was going to say.
we always excel.
coming out the best at the U.S. trading program in Jordan. And I think the exchange that we've had with the U.S., our cooperation, security cooperation with the United States has been robust. Of course, we had the period of President Barack Obama where we had a lot of restriction imposed on Nigeria, where we didn't, during the time we had Goodluck Jonathan, and so a lot of weapons were prohibited from being coming into Nigeria because of issues of torture, as we had it at that time in the country. But then after Obama, we had President Donald Trump, and it was quite open. He made a lot of deals with President Buhari. We had a lot of cooperation in that regard, arms sale to Nigeria. Now we have Joe Biden in the House, and the cooperation continues to go on a smooth trajectory, and I can see that we're excelling. Most of our cooperation comes in terms of arms exports to Nigeria, it comes in terms of training of Nigerians, and it comes in terms of all these drills that we have with other countries. But saying that we're excelling in Jordan, I think that should translate to security,
Exactly, that's what-
because the essence of everything that they are doing there is to make sure that peace and security prevails in the country, our country, Nigeria. We have a lot of multifaceted problem, I should put it in that language. In the north, in the south, in the east, banditry, kidnapping, herdsmen, insurgency, different headers and farmers clashes and all of that. So we have all these problems in their different layers, and so these are kind of exchanges or cooperations that we have with other countries, so we can learn from their own experiences. How are they fighting insurgency? For instance, Russia's war in Ukraine. Those are things that Nigeria could learn from. These are ugly scenarios that I'm pointing out. We have the Israel-Hamas war in Palestine, in Gaza, for instance. These are ugly experiences to point to, but there are things where we can draw experiences to see what can we exactly learn as a country and what can we implement differently to make sure that peace and tranquility is achieved in the country.
And I absolutely hope that the lessons are actually taken seriously, because when I saw that we emerged first, I'm very sure that, I mean, there were other countries who entered into that training and experiences. But seeing Nigeria come out first, I mean, we always excel in sports, name it, we always do well. But then this is security we're talking about. Let it translate into how our security system is being run in this country. We don't want to see a situation where we are doing well there. I mean, we're excelling in the trainings and all of that. Then we come in here and people still have to be too careful to walk around even by 7 p.m. So it is laudable, but then let the work start getting done.
Let the work let it get done, Wally. Let it metamorphose. We are in a hurry to see the implementations of these things. We're in a hurry. You see Nigerian doctors doing well in other countries, and when they come back home, we can still produce the kind of things we produce outside the country. One begin to ask, is it that the climes are different?
Obviously.
Is it the weather that is causing us to be more effective?
It's the system.
Some people say when you come to Nigeria, the system changes.
The system
These are
changes.
questions we need to ask. Is what goes wrong? How do we measure performance outside the country and coming back home to rank it to underperformance?
The environment enables everything. If the environment is encouraging, everybody will thrive. That's what I think. Wale, am I in the wrong?
Exactly. We need to put a good environment, because it's one thing to learn from all this training and drills in the abroad. And when we come back home, we still have to tilt towards maybe the governor has to say something. You have to get permission from
Mephistophelia cabals,
I'm sure you can bombard them with your language. But the reality remains that Nigeria has its own peculiar reality.
Yeah.
Of course, there are lots of things that defies the norm in Nigeria. We talk about economic principles. Some of them defy the norms that exist all around the world. And with the security as well, we've been fighting insurgency, particularly Boko Haram, for more than a decade right now. And we still haven't found a definitive solution to it. And this has metamorphosed into different kind of security situation that we're now seeing in the country. But the conversation remains, what are we doing differently? You've gotten this knowledge, experience, and everything. How do we implement and apply it in our day-to-day running of our security architecture in the country? Let's make sure that as we're taking that training there, they're coming back here to do step-down training. I don't know what it is they call that in the police, but they need to do that step-down training to make sure that the officers on the street, the rank and file, understand the principles of that guiding how they behave on the street. You can't take gun and shoot people and whatnot. So I think the conversation is unending.
Yeah, well,
but the essence of it,
it would be nice if we don't tell
It's
Nigerian police
unending.
congratulations. Before the show ends, we must tell Nigerian police congratulations for
Yeah.
coming
It's a
out.
big
It's a big
congratulations.
coming out
congratulations
first.
for Nigerian police.
I think we always come out excellent.
Yeah,
in most,
but this one, police
competition.
coming out first from Nigeria Naval SEAL.
I can understand
No,
your emphasis on
We
the
must tell them
police.
congratulations.
Congrats.
Congratulations,
Exactly.
Nigerian
Congratulations
police.
to
Yeah.
the Nigerian police. And that's where we draw the curtain on today's program. My name is Adewale Olashopan. Thank you to Chinatu and Godwin for being a part of this program.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure, Wale.
Always a pleasure.
Always a
Tomorrow
pleasure.
and next tomorrow is dedicated for the Eid Fitr celebration for all Muslims in Nigeria and all around the world. And we're hoping that you have a blessed holiday with your family. From here at this table, we say bye for now.